Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Cecilia, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you've joined us for our next live presentation from Outcrop Silver and Gold Corp. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the left of the slides. If you are interested in scheduling a meeting with Outcrop Silver and Gold Corp, please click on the Meetings tab found on the left navigation bar. You will be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Joe Hebert, Chief Executive Officer and Director of Outcrop Silver and Gold, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol OCGSF and on the TSXV under the symbol OCG. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I'm going to talk predominantly. I'm going to talk about our Santa Ana project. That's our flagship. We've been working it for the last 2.5 years with fairly intensive drilling. The project has a rich colonial history. At one time, some of the highest grade in the Spanish colonial empire, with up to 17 kilograms silver per ton. We have a very high grade silver gold discovery, and we think that work we're doing is indicating that there's a future mine for Santa Ana. Forward-looking statements basically pointing out that there is a potential risk with respect to exploration and mining, and it can have significant outcome effects on actual outcomes. So we are reaching a very important milestone for Santa Ana. Is we're moving the discovery to the next stage of value, which will be a 43-101 resource. We have internal guidance as for before the end of the year of putting out a compliant resource of between 45 to 55 million silver equivalent ounces and between 550 to 750 grams equivalent silver per ton. Just an overview, project and infrastructure. Critical, I think, to the new government is that silver is a strategic metal for the new government's energy transition economy, or in other words, the project is aligned with government goals concerning metals for solar and EVs. It has highway access, is basically drive-up property, grid power including a major transmission line, water that can be developed on site, very strong community support and excellent security conditions. In terms of drilling, we drilled 50,660 meters in 307 holes. The weighted average grade for 200 of those 307 holes with intercepts better than what we expect to be the resource cutoff is 1.4 kilograms equivalent silver per ton. It's almost entirely gold and silver. The equivalent numbers would be composed of 7.56 grams gold and 860 grams silver on average. And then there is some minor lead and zinc. Potential, we're exploring and intensively 18 kilometers of cumulative vein zone length. There's 60 kilometers of vein zones in the project. The vein zones are composed of between 2 and 5 veins. So the actual cumulative vein length is probably closer to 200. That puts the Santa Ana in the league of some of the famous silver districts in Mexico, like Fresnillo or Guanajuato. Company snapshot, we've 194 million shares outstanding, fully diluted at 302 million. A market capitalization, I think, today of just over 70 million. We have a 52-week trading range of between 10 cents and today 43 cents. And we do have analyst coverage from Research Capital. We are expected to buy with a forecast of 75 cents if we do reach 50 million ounces. That would be valued at $3 per silver equivalent ounce. Management and directors have 15% of the company. Eric Sprott 17%, and high net worth investors and retail 68%. In about early September, mid-September, it seems like our share price got detached from the average price of gold and silver, and we think that reflects people recognizing that we're about to potentially substantially revalue the property or re-rate the property with a resource report. I've got 36 years experience in all aspects of economic geology. I was fortunate to make the discovery of Gold Rush. It was then called ET Blue, now called Gold Rush on Barrick's Cortez venture. Um, we were able to recently hire Guillermo Hernandez away from Lundin Gold. He worked at Fruta del Norte on their estimation team, so it's a good and timely hire for us to be putting our resource together. Board of directors, we have Ian Slan. He's a mining entrepreneur, not involved in the technical aspects, but a very good creative manager and an assist to the team in Colombia and in the U.S. and in Canada. Recently, we have Ana Vasquez as director. She's important because she was the executive VP of Collective Mining and has especially strong contacts and strong experience in governmental affairs, which is going to be a tremendous help for us in Colombia. Some recent headliner assays that have made a big difference with respect to our average thickness and average grade. In October, 2.14 meters of 2,032 grams. In August, almost 9 meters of 1.6 kilograms equivalent silver per ton. In July, almost 7 meters of 2.1 kilograms. And in June, 1.85 meters of 7.6 kilograms equivalent silver per ton. On the right, the map, we're concentrating on the easternmost vein trend, 18 kilometers between the Santa Ana Royal mines that produced at very high grades, and the Frias mine, which produced 7.8 million ounces of silver between roughly the 10 years between 1890 and 1900. We just recently are working in their underground, and we're getting channel samples along the vein of up to 10 kilograms silver per ton. The veins typically outcrop, mineralization outcrops. It makes for very straightforward and low-risk exploration. You can basically sample at surface and drill similar numbers at depth. We've generated two very important exploration vectors, one being the top of ore is typically at 800 meters mean sea level. The other is that the ore shoots typically occur every 304 meters along the veins. So this is fairly consistent and something we can use for lowering the risk of exploration. Roughly, the resource report will be comprised of 30% of the actual veins and vein targets identified. Basically, that means that we could have a 3 times multiple of the maiden resource report potential of 3 multiples of the maiden resource report just by continuing to drill and generate new targets. These are just examples of some of the chutes, anywhere from 150 to 250 meters wide. The case of Las Meras, it goes to 370 meters. In the case of Las Naranjos, the farthest north, it's open at 180 meters. This is important. The depth of Las Meras is important because it's about 100% deeper than the average depth of the drilling along our chutes, so it indicates that we can most probably just go deeper with our drilling and substantially increase our resource potential. Also important is it's a narrow vein system, but wherever we have high angle veins, they're clustered together in a fairly narrow zone. In places, it's not uncommon in the chutes to be able to composite veins together. And in this case of the Roberto Tovar chute to the north, we can composite 3 veins together in the central chute and get 8 meters true thickness at 450 grams equivalent silver per ton. Our independent QP Micon International will be looking at this in an engineering sense, but if you just look at it in a volume basis, if we can composite 50% of the veins by volume, we increase the true thickness almost 2 times. Up to more like 1.5 meters true width. One thing that's really been a nice surprise is how simple the mineralogy and the metallurgy has turned out to be that we did for the resource report. We have 4 different series of tests. We found that 90% of the gold is in a free native state, meaning that you could crush that rock and just pan it. Um, we have 4% in electrum, coarse electrum, we have 4% native silver. All those minerals obviously would be very easy to recover in free milling, and the silver is 88% of the silver is in one mineral called argentite, meaning which is 87% silver by chemical composition. So we crack one mineral, and basically we have good recovery. The sulfides can be liberated at 80 to 90%. Liberated by a 53 to 106 micron grinding, particularly on the coarser end. That's low cost, low energy grinding. The average gold recoveries are 96%. The average silver recoveries are 94%. These are really exceptional numbers industry wide. If we did make a concentrate, it would be 6.5 kilograms per ton silver equivalent silver and almost 83 grams gold per ton. So the new government, honestly, people were holding their breath when President Gustavo won the election. But him and his Minister of Mines, Ms. Velez, has been very open and said in several venues that their government is not against mining. They want to participate in the energy transition, whether that's either in the country or globally by export. They just want it to be socially and environmentally responsible. Petro, in particular, has said that he realizes there are benefits of exploration mining to opportunity to private communities. So really, we're aligned with what the government wants to achieve with respect to the mining industry in Colombia. Socially and environmentally responsible mining is the mandated government. We've been doing that for the last almost 2.5 years. We try to keep a continual open dialogue with all our stakeholders. That would be the government, the church, artisan miners, of which there are a few, but there are some to the south, and then just especially the local community. We've done some innovative things. We've been through a nonprofit, or with a nonprofit, we've been providing a significant amount of wheelchairs to the disabled community of North Tolima and Falan. We've been supporting 2 microcap business startups. We've been providing primary and secondary education for adults, for the locals that haven't had any opportunity for education in their past. We're supplying urban and rural vegetable plots, and we're working to increase farm productivity on this project working with the agronomy department through the University at Medellin, and we are also developing a significant reforestation program. So some of the catalysts, we're going to have at least 2 rigs for the next 12 months, so we'll have a good steady news flow. We will be drilling 8 to 11 near-term high-grade targets. Those 2 drill rigs will be these 2 drill rigs will produce over 1,800 meters per month. Some months, depending on the travel, up to 22,000 meters per month. We will drill that Frias Mine group that we're very excited about, and we again we expect to publish a scalable compliant resource in this quarter. We have an internal guidance of 45 to 55 million ounces at 550 to 750 grams equivalent silver per ton. We say it's upscalable because we fully expect to continue exploration with these 11 or more targets and do an updated resource report in 2023 or early 2024. We do have other high-grade vein projects, Argelia and Majama, that we would like to drill, depending on funding and what we need to do otherwise in Santa Ana. But they are tremendous world-class vein systems. And then we do have the possibility of joint ventures with projects that are close to B2 Gold's Gramalote or close to the Newmont Anza JV. There's my contacts to get hold of me. Email is probably best, or text, and I'll reply when I can. And now we can just go to some questions if we have any. So I have a question. What are the key takeaways from the recent ground sampling the Frias mine. The Frias mine itself is important because it provides a three-dimensional mined analog of the type of mineralization that we are drilling and are going to make resources out of. I think what's especially gratifying is in the recent sampling, we have numerous samples over a kilogram up to 10 or more kilograms silver per ton. We also have extremely high lead and zinc numbers with that, up to 50% zinc in some channel samples. It just confirms that Frias it represents another high-grade occurrence similar to the Royal Santa Ana mines, and it anchors to the south our 18-kilometer trend that we're doing active exploration on. I have a question. Are there any miners looking to acquire you, and would you be in favor of such action? I think, although that is a traditional avenue of entry of an exit strategy for a junior, and it provides a benefit or a premium to investors, but I think the greater premium that we would like to provide would be to actually bring this to a minimum of 150 million ounces. We think that's achievable in some term. And then we would probably like to, if we chose not to mine, we would like to vend the project itself, and then move up the next tier high grade vein system we have, and basically repeat the process, but a lot faster because we'd be well funded, of course. I have a question. Can you speak to the infrastructure for Santa Ana? Santa Ana has a lot going for it. It's you can drive up to it. We can drive right up to our camp through the town of Falon. Paved roads for most of the way, except for the last kilometer, I think. We have a major transmission line. The water can be developed on the property at about 100 meters depth, so there would be ultimately plenty of water to develop. For the central Andes, the terrain is quite a bit more moderate than, say, what ZGen had to deal with in Barutica to put together their valley fills for their facilities. So all in all, it's probably great infrastructure. It's a traditional mining culture in North Tolima and Falon, so there's a lot of support and very very little to no security risk. I'm sorry. Do you have cash on hand to support 2023 drill programs? I think we're very close to having coverage on it. What we want to do though is after we put out the resource, we want to be very aggressive on our target testing, so that people can clearly look at the resource and say, okay, look, and we know what these guys have done in the past. We know the result. Now we can sort of measure their progress and to have an expectation of an upscalable resource report. We have. I think in any case we have enough money to get into the end of the fourth quarter of 2023, and that can always be modified by the amount of drilling we do. I don't think I'm seeing any other questions. A question that could be asked would be that's revealing is, and I mentioned is almost all the mineralization outcrops. So we consider that low risk estimation, low risk evaluation, low risk exploration. So because it's unusual to have outcrop mineralization. I have a question here. To what depth do veins typically extend in a system like Santa Ana? That's a really good question. We were sort of unresolved as to what sort of system we had. I mean, basically, without jargon, there's two major types of vein systems: epithermal or mesothermal. What we found with detailed work is we've got two mesothermal events, and then we've got a later mesothermal event that basically remobilized some of the older or younger, or I'm sorry, older mineralization and brought that up near Earth surface and concentrated some of the grade. But again, saying we have two mesothermal events, mesothermal or another term, orogenic, but mesothermal systems are known for their potential great size and extending for in excess of 1 to 2 kilometers. We have open mineralization at every depth we have drilled down to 370 meters. We know the freest mine to 310 meters and was open, and so I just think it's a really there's a lot of potential at depth because of the nature of the system at Santa Ana. I'll wait a moment for questions, and then I guess we can wrap her up. Very interesting questions. I'm you know, it's good to see this kind of interest. Okay, I guess that wraps her up. I don't see any more questions. Again, my contacts are on the webpage. Give me an email, give me a text, or give me a call, and I can try to answer questions as quickly as possible. And again, thanks for Metals and Mining for the opportunity to present and continue to follow our story, please.